Tape Deck Media.
See you at the party, Richter!
Hello and welcome to See You at the Potty Richter. My name is Chris Chapman, and with me as always here are my co-hosts Aaron Frescas.
Hola.
And Joseph Beck Castro.
Hello, cutie pies.
And today we are going to be going over some sweet production info and promotional stuff about Arnold's 1988 buddy cop anti-communist vehicle. Maybe, possibly, Red Heat. So I'm going to hand it over to Aaron, who's going to tell us all sorts of fun stuff about the movie. Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. So, just a heads up before we get started. I couldn't find a ton of production info, and Arnold barely mentions the movie in his book. And it's not like as bad as like The Villain, like as far as level of lack of info. But almost any time I came across a new source, it usually had the same few facts that every other website or book has.
Huh.
And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but I get a little desperate whenever I have trouble finding production info and basically start turning into like a TMZ staffer, just like searching for any sort of gossip involving the cast, pretty much like anything that'll just to create some sort of interesting narrative. So I started started digging around for like the typical scandals that happen during production, like an actor like mistreating the film crew. I was like, come on, someone, or like the director having like an affair with the cast member. Where I was like, Peter Boyle, come on, Peter Boyle. But no, I didn't find any People magazine like type of scandals, but I did begin to get a little bit better understanding of the possible reasons behind both the strengths and the weaknesses of the movie. So speaking of which, let's start off by taking a few minutes to focus on the director.
Cool.
So Red Heat was co-written and directed by Walter Hill, who got his start in the film industry working as a researcher on a series of documentaries, but then eventually decided to try his hand at screenwriting. Basically because it seemed like something pretty much any chump could do. Although he put it a little bit more eloquently, saying during a masterclass interview in a year, because I didn't write it down, quote, I began to read screenplays that were being made, and I hesitate to say this, but I guess I read them and said, Christ, I could do that. So he then admits it took 4 to 5 years to write his first screenplay, but then also says that once he got the hang of it, he pretty much instantly started making a living doing it, which good for him, because that's tough. He ended up writing screenplays for a handful of movies in the early 70s, including some I've sort of heard of, including The Getaway with Steve McQueen and The Drowning Pool starring Paul Newman, which those I've heard of them, I think.
I know the band.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also down with The Sickness. Oh, wait, no. That's Disturbed. I will always also let the bodies hit the floor.
Okay. I was like, Drowning Pool, that is band. All right. Paul Newman was actually the lead singer of Drowning Pool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, he eventually began directing feature films, Walter Hill. And I'm actually not familiar with his first two, which were a 1975 film titled Hard Times, and then a 1978 one called The Driver. But I definitely heard of his third one, which was 1979's The Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
I actually ended up watching it the other day. Have either of you seen it?
Very, very long time ago.
Okay.
The most I know about The Warriors is from I Love the 70s.
Well, and also Warriors Come Out and Play with Sully from Commando.
Yep. David Kelly something or other.
David Patrick Kelly or something.
But okay, but you guys know what it's about, right?
Themed gangs run New York?
It's okay. So it's a New York street gang that's falsely accused of killing a leader of a different gang, and then it follows them as they try to make their way from the Bronx down to their home turf on Coney Island, and then along the way, just a bunch of ridiculously themed gangs are trying to kill them.
Okay.
Like, there's like one called the Orphans, another called the Baseball Furies, which at first I thought it said Baseball Furries, and I was like, whoa, these guys party. But yeah, it's just weird. But when I watched it, I was expecting it to be bad in like a kind of like a super cheesy 70s way, but it was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I guess it's not saying much considering my expectations going in, but
yeah, I've only ever heard good things about it, but it just the concept never appealed to me.
So if you go in with like super low expectations, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
And the movie was fine. Like the movie, I actually think I probably liked it better than Red Heat and 48 Hours. And I think it's because the pacing was a little better. Like it felt somewhat similar to Fury Road and how the action kind of never really has time to take a break. Because once they get to a new area, someone else is going to attack them.
Yeah.
Anyway, in addition to directing those movies, Walter Hill also wrote and co-wrote those first ones. By the way, quick side note, he has a ton of credits he was involved with, but I'm really only going to focus on the projects where he's credited as both the writer and director, like he is on Red Heat, with the exception of one, which is something interesting I came across that I'd never heard before. So I guess he was also seemingly responsible for some pretty key story elements for the movie Alien, the original like Ridley Scott one.
Huh. Like what?
So apparently his production company, which is called Brandywine, ended up purchasing the original screenplay written by Dan O'Banion and Ronald Shusett. And almost every interview I read with them, with Walter Hill discussing the movie, he's pretty candid about the fact that the only thing he liked from the original script was the chestburster scene. But him and like the people at his production company saw the potential of what the movie could, like the script could be, and he and his partner David Giler bought it and basically completely rewrote it into what it ended up on screen. So you guys familiar with the Alien universe or lore, whatever at all?
Yeah. I only watched that movie for the first time like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay. Joe, sorta? An idea?
Yeah. I've seen Alien and Aliens. I don't know if I've seen any other ones.
Those are probably the best two to watch. Well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially the second one. The second one's just good.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, so according to Walter Hill, he and his partner were responsible for contributing the mixed gender crew, because originally it was all dudes, making the main protagonist a female, naming her Ellen Ripley, as well as naming the ship, like the name of the ship and all of the crew members. They added the Weyland-Yutani Company, which is like the evil corporation throughout I think pretty much most of the films. Yeah. They added that company wanting to turn the aliens into a biological weapon was their idea. And then lastly, the Ash character being a droid was also them, which is, again, pretty significant.
Yeah, that sounds like the entire movie. Like everything you just described is like the entire movie.
What about Jonesy the cat?
So I don't have it in here, but I know that the second one, they basically came up with like the basic idea and I think wrote a short treatment and then gave it to James Cameron. James Cameron turned it into what it was.
Jonesy was in the first one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
I haven't seen that movie in a while. It's her cat, right?
Yeah,
It's
her
like
and the cat are the ones that get away at the end.
Yeah,
okay.
It's the
shuttle.
ship cat. It's like you got shop cats. You got a ship cat.
Walter Hill also mentions a few minor changes they made as well, like the general mood and the environment of the movie to give it a more like darker, colder feel. So basically, the entire tone of the film, he said,
was his idea.
Yeah, was it like them writing?
I mean, their idea. Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of fighting between. It's good stuff, but I had to stop myself from going in too much into that because I was like, oh, this is good. Anyway, but the best part is that they went uncredited for all that, and only the two original writers received credit for it, which he was not happy about, Walter Hill.
Yeah.
And sorry for the sidetrack. I was surprised to learn that. Wanted to share it, but
yeah, but his production company is the one who like made it, right? Like you said, they bought the script, right?
Yes.
Well, then he probably made plenty of money off of it.
Oh yeah, he made money, and he ends up getting the a story credit for Alien 2, and then he is the writer of Alien 3, but I've never seen that one. But it's bad. But apparently that was studio interference or whatever.
Yeah,
and plus, like Arnold is technically part of the Alien universe, so it's at least somewhat Arnold adjacent.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, moving on. So, moving to the 80s with Walter Hill pulling double duty as both the writer and director on 5 of his 9 movies that he directed in the 80s, starting with The Long Riders in 1980, although he's listed uncredited on IMDb. He is credited as co-writer on the remaining 4, though, which were 1981 film called Southern Comfort, followed by 48 Hours in 1982, which is probably his most well-known movie, and then Streets of Fire in 1984, and then Red Heat in 85. Red Heat in 88. 3 of those, The Long Rider, Southern Comfort, and Streets of Fire, seem to be straight dramas or thrillers, although I'm not quite sure what Streets of Fire is because the listed genres on IMDb are action, crime, drama, music, romance, and thriller.
Yeah.
First of all, it's Jean.
Oh, sorry.
Well, there's no second of all. But.
It looks like a Pat Benatar music video. Like
sexy.
I didn't watch it. Like you know how if you go on IMDb on your phone, the trailer just starts playing automatically up at the top. Yeah. I didn't put the sound on because I was like, no. But I saw Willem Dafoe pissed off, and then I saw a girl doing like pumping her arm in the air like this with the 80s hair, and I was like, this is totally a Pat Benatar music video. But I don't know what it's about. Anyway,
it sounds like a Prince movie.
That's
like musical and also
80s.
Action and also like drama and romance. I don't know.
I remember the description, which I had written down, and I was like, no, don't need it. Is very soap opera-y, I think. Anyway, then you have the other two, which were Red Heat and 48 Hours. And as a little homework assignment, I asked you guys to watch 48 Hours before we recorded this, but I didn't really give you a reason why, besides saying it was directed by him. Were you guys able to watch it?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay, can you see why I wanted you to watch it?
Yeah, because they're the same movie.
Yeah, it's pretty much two different versions of the same movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a fucking.
Well, I mean, I watched half of it very drunk last night, and the other half with my back killing me. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, it starts with our main criminal, and showing why he's a bad guy. It goes to a scene introducing a shitty cop who goes to meet his two partner cops, and they go into a building where they have a stairway shootout with the bad guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Damn. I haven't seen both of those in a while, and yep.
He has to team up with somebody he doesn't like to catch the bad guys. There's not much other plot to the movie. There's a chase scene involving a bus at the end.
Is it there's one in 48 Hours too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember they get on the bus and
they're riding a Muni bus. I believe it was
like when the guy goes to give them the money.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Okay,
he gets on a bus, and then it's not the end of the movie like it is in Red Heat, but there's a chase scene with a bus.
Okay, so what did you guys think of 48 Hours?
I kind of fucking hated it, mainly because Nick Nolte is like a gigantic asshole with no like redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this guy just fucking sucks. Like it's not even like funny or like, amazing acting like J.K. Simmons and whatever that fucking drum movie is.
Yeah.
Whiplash.
Whiplash, yeah. Like, where he won like Academy Award or some shit. Like, no,
that's true. He's not even an entertaining monster. He's just a monster.
Yeah, and they said in
at least the shit J.K. Simmons does to Miles Teller in that movie is funny.
Yeah. He gets the job done.
Yeah.
But and I watched it on fucking Paramount or some shit. And I said it was a comedy, and like even with Eddie Murphy, I was like,
yeah, that's the thing. It's like
no.
Eddie Murphy lends enough charisma to it that there are some funny parts, but like this is not a comedy. Like in the same way that Red Heat kind of isn't a comedy.
Did you guys think it was better than Red Heat?
Yes, but only because I think Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte are on average better actors than Belushi and Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
I don't know.
And because sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, finish your thought.
I was gonna say, and because like I feel like this guy has like not real strong, but like I feel like this guy has something to say about race specifically, in that 48 Hours was kind of about like racial stuff and like social stuff regarding, the black experience in America. Yeah. And he even inserted that into Red Heat with like
with the prison scene.
the drug kingpin in the prison. Whereas I don't think he really has anything to say about like communism or like our relationship with Russia. Yeah. But that's kind of what Red Heat was about, and there's not really anything there. So I don't know. True. I think it just slightly has more like thematic like relevance or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I had a few issues with the movie. First of all, he's got a drop top in San Francisco, and as somebody that had one, like you don't really roll around with that, especially at night. That shit gets cold. And like Eddie Murphy,
she said it at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. The coldest winter I ever spent was summer in San Francisco, or some bullshit like that.
That's a Mark Twain line. And it's true. And that was said by the chick that plays Beverly in the
Annette O'Toole.
Yeah, in the original It miniseries, The Superior It.
Oh,
what else was I going to say? A lot of places weren't in San Francisco. They filmed them elsewhere, and they have like a shootout in Church Station, and trust me, Church Station ain't that fucking busy, man. They got like mad people, like with Solis there, and, and they get on the train like near the end.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that station's like not that.
Joe's like, they would have caught them immediately.
Yeah,
There wouldn't have been that
three
crowd
people there. Also, what's his name? Who plays Billy?
Oh, Sonny Landon.
Yeah, apparently he's only allowed to be named Billy in movies.
Yes, he was.
Because I've
Yeah,
only
that
seen him
was
in two
fucking
movies,
weird.
and he's both named Billy.
Although that one dude, Luther, apparently his name was Luther in the Warriors too.
Ah,
Oh, really? Oh.
Sully.
David Patrick Kelly or
Yeah,
whatever that
his
guy's
name in
name
the
is.
Warriors. Okay.
Yeah, apparently he's Luther in both movies.
Okay.
I was like, all right, this guy just likes certain names.
Yeah, and one other thing, like they go to that country bar and there's Confederate flags and shit everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
trust me, that shit is not happening in this
Well,
fucking city.
there was a thing I read that one of the writers was like, that wouldn't happen
In San Francisco, yeah.
And one of the other writers, I think it was Steven D'Souza telling the story. He's like, no one that's not from the city is going to know that. So whatever, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was like, the idea of San Francisco in the early 80s, but it's always been.
What was the reputation?
Yeah, probably like, I would assume that, especially like post hippies, like with Berkeley and shit right across the bay, like possibly the assumption of San Francisco would be the same, that there wouldn't be a bunch of there wouldn't be a bar with a bunch of Confederate flags and shit, but
a really crowded, popular bar that has a lot of cowboys. in it.
like if you go up to like
That's also kind of a strip club.
yeah, you go to like fucking Vacaville or something, like an hour or two away. Like, yeah, it might make more sense, but
I just imagine them walking out of the bar and there's two guys kissing them. They're like, "Oh, goddamn San Francisco!" like I don't know, just like all pissed up.
That'd be great if it was actually a gay bar. Like that's,
Well,
That's right.
he mentioned something about that. Like
That
it
would
was
make more
something like
sense.
Walter Hill. One of them was like, it wouldn't. It'd be more likely to be a gay bar than it would be like I don't remember. It was something like that. But
wouldn't that be a funnier scene if they walk in and like it's like, oh shit, Eddie Murphy's gonna have trouble in here. It's a bunch of white rednecks, but then all the white rednecks start kissing each other, and it's a
just
gay bar,
the
and they didn't
Simpsons
expect that.
Steel mill scene?
The steel mill. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, there was still a good amount of like gay bashing and shit that happened in the city back then. But what was cool was there was these anti-gay bashers, like a bunch of like big ass, I assume, gay dudes who'd like roll around like a fucking gang and like protect people and fuck up anybody trying to fuck with gay people.
Nice.
anyway, so okay, real quick, the very 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 basic plot of 48 Hours is Nick Nolte's trying to find a criminal. Eddie Murphy's in jail. He knows the criminal. Like he used to work with the criminal, so he gets him out of jail to help him find him. Basically, right?
Yeah, there was a criminal gang who stole a bunch of money, like $500,000. Many of them went to prison. One of them didn't. The worst one breaks out of jail, murders some people, murders some cops specifically. Nick Nolte tries to find him. He needs Eddie Murphy's help because he was also in the gang. Eddie Murphy wants to help because it will protect his money.
Yes. Okay.
And they have 48 hours to do it. Eddie Murphy's on like a 48-hour release.
Yeah, and one of the cops that gets shot is Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely didn't notice that.
and I always get this movie confused with
Beverly Hills Cop.
Trading Places.
Oh, what?
Because I'm like, well, because they both got Eddie Murphy. I'm like, oh yeah, did they like swap jobs for 48 hours, right? Or they trade places for 48 hours. Wait, no, that's
See, I used to mix up Trading Places and Coming to America, and then Beverly Hills Cop in this. But yeah, I was trying to answer that question I asked and realize which one was better, and I realized the only reason that I think that maybe 48 Hours are better is because of the performance. By performances, I mean Eddie Murphy specifically,
Mainly Eddie Murphy.
and I don't even think it's the character he plays. I think it's specifically him.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you swapped out the two comic relief actor roles, so Eddie Murphy was in Red Heat and Belushi was in 48 Hours, it would vastly improve Red Heat.
Yeah.
It would probably
definitely.
probably turn 48 Hours into something as forgettable as Red Heat is now.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, so I started looking through both movies' credits to find possible contributing factors besides the actors that would actually explain why Red Heat may not have worked so well, like as well. And something stuck out pretty much right away when I was looking at the writing credits for 48 Hours. So I'd say there are two writers who like really understand and excel at writing for Arnold Schwarzenegger. One of them is James Cameron. And any other guesses as to who the other one might be?
Steven D'Souza.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know.
So Steven D'Souza was brought on to 48 Hours to lighten up the script a bit, add some humor, and make Eddie Murphy's dialogue a bit more natural, which apparently pissed off Walter Hill, who was very adamant about the fact that he was not trying to make a buddy cop comedy film, which is funny that, which is why I kind of started laughing when you mentioned that, when you called it that earlier. So a lot of the stuff I read kind of downplayed.
Wait, who called what earlier?
I called Red Heat a buddy cop comedy, but was he not trying to make a buddy cop comedy for Red Heat?
I don't think so. I think it's okay. So
for a guy who didn't want to make buddy cop comedy, he made two of them in like successive years.
Yeah, I have something for that.
That's fucking weird.
But so a lot of the stuff I read kind of downplayed Steven D'Souza's contribution in the film, but I also read that Eddie Murphy pretty much stuck to the script and didn't really ad-lib any of his lines. I think mostly because it was his first film.
That's pretty.
And so if that's true, then Steven D'Souza definitely contributed parts of what made that movie work.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know he wasn't the only factor, but I'm sure it didn't hurt the film.
No. Having a likable character? No, that did not hurt the film.
But anyway, so as far as Red Heat goes, there were 3 credited writers. Walter Hill with a story screenplay credit. Harry Kleiner with a Spleencray credit. Harry Kleiner with the screenplay credit, although I'm like 99% sure, and my apologies to whoever if this isn't correct, but the only scene/idea he contributed was at the beginning of the movie when Arnold, the scene where Arnold rips off the guy's leg and finds a cocainium in it. That was him. I guess Harry Kleiner sent Walter Hill a completely unrelated script that contained that gag, and Walter Hill liked it so much that he paid Kleiner so he could use it for Red Heat. But yeah, the last credited writer is Troy Kennedy Martin, who wrote the original 1969 Italian Job, which I'm pretty sure suffered from a lack of Marky Markness. I've never seen it, but it can't be as good as the newer one. Nope. He also kind of had a strange credit, which is the 2023 movie Ferrari, starring Adam Driver, which is only weird because the only credited screenwriter, which was Troy Kennedy Martin, died in 2019. Sorry, 2009, not 2019.
Oh. Damn.
So
he probably wrote that a long ass time ago.
Yeah, he's the only credited screenwriter, and
they're probably just waiting for somebody aptly named to play the character.
Stupid.
They're either waiting for Johnny Speed or
Steve Walken or Joaquin Phoenix. They're like, no, can't do Walken.
Nope. Not gonna work. He's too
Christopher
slow.
Walken. Nope.
Nope.
I'm trying to think of the actor's name.
Stupid.
Yeah, I know. Like a fly. Is there a flight pilot?
Anyway, all right, moving on. I'm not completely sure how much Troy Martin contributed to Red Heat, but the more I read about Walter Hill, the more I kind of get the feeling that the most of the script probably came from him. Because the original story came from Walter Hill, for sure, who pitched the basic idea, which was a fish out of water story about a Russian cop, to Carolco Pictures, specifically the studio's founding partners, Mario Kassar and Andrew Vajna. It's just a good name.
Stupid.
Sorry. Anyway, who we should eventually consider maybe doing a bonus episode about, because they produced some pretty big movies, including some of Arnold's best. Like I think they did the first 2 Terminators and Total Recall.
Damn.
And then, but they still went out of business. Anyway, so it sounds like the Carolco boys were super supportive of the film and Walter Hill, and seems like they pretty much let him do his thing without much, if any, pretty much any interference, including choosing most of the main cast. So, according to a Chicago Tribune article, Walter Hill wrote the part specifically for Arnold because they wanted to work together for a while. Saying, quote, I didn't want to do sci-fi, and it's tough to use Arnold credibly in an American context with his accent. I thought it would be interesting if he could play a Russian cop in the U.S. I wanted to do a traditional John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, larger-than-life movie. You then ask the question, will the American audience accept an unapologetic Soviet hero, someone who will not defect at the end of the movie? Which Arnold confirmed in his book Total Recall, where he also mentions how Walter Hill originally pitched the film to him, saying, quote, Walter Hill, our director, wrote and directed 48 Hours, and the idea here was to combine action and comedy. All Walter had in the beginning was the opening scene, which is often how movies get made. You have one idea, then you sit down and cook up the rest of the roughly 100 pages for the script. I play a Soviet detective named Ivan Danko, and in this scene I'm chasing down a guy. I find him in a Moscow pub, and when he resists arrest, we fight. He then goes on to describe the legs, the whole beginning scene, where he first meets Victor or whatever. Before saying, quote, that was Walter's idea, and as soon as I heard it, I said, I love it, I'm in. We talked back and forth as he wrote the script, and we decided that it would be good to have the buddy relationship reflect the working relationship between East and West. Unquote. And I love that Walter Hill's pitch to Arnold Schwarzenegger was of the scene that he bought from someone else.
Yeah,
but hey, man, everyone's got their writing process. So anyway, they both also mentioned how Arnold plays a much more serious, kind of realistic character in Red Heat than he usually does, which was apparently Walter Hill's decision, saying in that same Chicago Tribune article that I mentioned, quote, I had confidence in him as an actor. I didn't want him to just throw a Volkswagen over a building. Arnold has an ability to communicate that cuts through cultures and countries. They just love to see this guy win. But everyone thinks it's his muscles. It's not that at all. It's his face, his eyes. He has a face that's a throwback to a warrior from the Middle Ages or ancient Greece. End quote.
Hard disagree. I would instantly give this movie a 5 out of 5 if he threw a Volkswagen over a building.
Yeah.
That quote made me curious if Walter Hill had ever actually seen any of Arnold's movies up to this point besides maybe The Terminator. The fact that he hadn't seen any of his movies would explain just how so completely he misunderstands what everyone actually likes about Schwarzenegger movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like, no, they don't. They want to see all the him acting like all commando-y.
Yeah. They want him to be a Superman, and they also want him to be charismatic and not like fucking.
Yeah, it's basically like why superhero movies are so popular now. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like you want to see an oversized but overpowered person fight another overpowered but less powered person.
Yeah,
and be like charismatic and funny and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird, and I get that we have the like luxury of foresight or whatever, but also Arnold's previous 4 movies were The Running Man, Predator, Raw Deal, and Commando. So it's not like the writing wasn't on the wall there. Like it's obvious what was working.
Oh,
to be fair, Walter Hill made his intentions pretty clear during a 2012 interview with the website called The Hollywood Interview. So they asked him about 48 Hours being pushed as a comedy, but his reply could, I think one of you mentioned earlier, but it could be applied just as easily to Red Heat. So in it, he acknowledges that the fact that he's not a comedy director, but says he knows how to make people laugh, mentioning audience reactions to the Warriors as an example, which that's not a good example. Like after just watching that, if anything, it's I don't even know if it was considered cheesy. It is cheesy and it's kind of ridiculous, but like there's also some dark shit in there. Like James Remar is a fucking creep in it, and it's I don't know. Anyway, he then says, quote, I'll often see 48 Hours compared to Beverly Hills Cop, which to me is a true comedy. If you go into 48 Hours expecting comedy, well, I'm not a joke writer. I don't think there's a single joke in it, but if you think of it as an action movie, it's very funny, which again, like one of you were saying it earlier, if as long as you don't go in expecting it to be a comedy, it's in a straight action, then you're like, okay, this action movie's got some funny scenes in it. But if you go in thinking it's a comedy, you're like, this is not a fucking comedy, which is what you guys were saying earlier.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Paramount Plus or whatever the fuck it's called said. It wasn't even action comedy or buddy comedy or
just comedy.
That's just said comedy, 1982.
That's what it was pushed as, because he was having problems with Paramount about that. I think Michael Eisner in particular, they wanted a comedy, an action comedy.
Yeah. The only marketing I've ever seen for it has been like selling it as a comedy, and probably just because Eddie Murphy's in it and like that's what they know they can sell. But like, I don't know. growing up, I never having never seen the movie, but seeing commercials for it on cable and stuff. It just always seemed like it was a comedy.
Yeah, and the same thing with Red Heat. I always thought it was a comedy, and then if you go in expecting an action movie that has a little bit of comedy in it, it's probably, I don't know. Anyway, so Arnold also talks about his character, saying in the book, quote, Walter had me watch Greta Garbo in the 1939 film Ninotchka. I don't know. Anyway, to get a handle on how Danko should react as a loyal Soviet in the West. I got to learn a little Russian, and it was a role for which my own accent was a plus, which, okay.
Sure.
Anyway, so moving on. According to producer Andrew Vajna, Walter Hill was also responsible for a few more main members of the cast being cast, including Jim Belushi, who at that point had a pretty decent amount of work under his belt, including Little Shop of Horrors, and then a 2-year stint on Saturday Night Live, and a few, probably at least 10 other things. But Edo Ross, who has a ton of random credits, that's Victor, I don't remember his last name, the bad guy. Okay, gotcha. Including Full Metal Jacket, Seinfeld, and 6 Feet Under. He was also the voice of Agent K during the first season of the Men in Black animated series.
Huh. Wait. Seinfeld? Did you say Seinfeld?
Yeah, he's like a cop in Seinfeld.
Okay, I just thought you were talking about things he had done before.
Oh, no.
And I was confused.
Sorry. Anyway, Walter Hill also cast Gina Gershon, who had a handful of TV and film credits prior to this, but Red Heat seems to be one of her first big movies. And then rounding out the main cast were Peter Boyle, who has credits going back to 1966, including Taxi Driver and Young Frankenstein. And then Lawrence Fishburne, who credited as Larry Fishburne, whose credits already included such classics as The Color Purple, he did Apocalypse Now, and then Pee-wee's Playhouse. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Red Heat had an estimated production budget of $29 million and was co-produced by Carolco Pictures and Brandywine Productions, which was Walter Hill's his production company, and TriStar handled distribution. So according to AFI.com, filming began August 26, 1987, with filming locations in Chicago and Los Angeles. And according to Arnold in his book, the first half of the opening sauna scene was filmed at the Rudas thermal bath in Budapest, and then the second half in Austria because the Budapest had no snow. And I guess a stunt coordinator and second unit director Benny Dobbins ended up dying during production. I think he was around with these scenes, but he suffered a heart attack while working on a stunt with Arnold.
Damn.
Yeah. So, which although I'm not sure if it was during these scenes, I think it was a joke that I made when I first watched it. I'm like, he definitely died during that first scene. Once Arnold got naked and started running around, he was like, "Oh, my heart, I can't take it." Just because, and then I was like, I probably shouldn't say that. And then I did. So I actually don't know when he died. I just realized that right now that he might not have died during those scenes, but in my head, I think when I saw that scene, I was like, that was definitely once he took his pants off, this guy was like, "Oh my God." Anyway, sorry. So apparently Hungary stood in for some scenes set in Moscow, but the Russian government did grant the permission to shoot at the Red Square in Moscow, which was apparently the first time in the history of American feature filmmaking that a cast and crew were allowed to film at that location.
Wow, groundbreaking film.
Damn.
Yeah. So I guess it required a 6-month waiting period, and they could also not use any sound equipment, which that was weird, whatever. And we're only allowed to use one camera. And I can't remember where I read it or saw it, but I went through so much stuff that whatever, but they pretty much only brought a skeleton crew with them, and I know 100% that Arnold was there as far as the actors, but I'm not even sure if they brought Edo Ross, the villain.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. It actually says edit. Actually, Aaron, according to Andy Vag, which the producer Andy Vag. Anyway, producer Andrew Vajna said the only people that went were him, Arnold's makeup guy, the film's cinematographer, and director Walter Hill. So that's who ended up going.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, while they were in Moscow, I guess the news got out that Arnold was in town, and they ended up attracting a huge crowd, which surprised both Arnold and the crew because his films are technically not played there.
Yeah.
But apparently he had a big Russian following due to black market videos, like the Pirate Bay of its day, I guess.
Which may have been a literal Pirate Bay.
Yeah. You want your movie? Anyway, the prison scene was shot at Joliet State Prison, which is about 40 miles outside of Chicago. And according to producer Mario Kassar, the prisoners in the background were actual prisoners.
Huh.
Yeah.
So that was actually Joliet. I assumed they only said Joliet as a reference to the Blues Brothers.
Oh, no, they actually filmed there.
Okay.
In reference to what?
Blues Brothers. That's the prison that Belushi gets out of at the beginning of Blues Brothers.
I've never seen that movie.
I like that movie.
I've never seen it. I've tried to, I think I tried to watch it once, but I think I was like 12 when I tried to watch it. And I was like, this movie's boring.
But I know you guys don't like John Belushi, but I like that movie.
It might just be me.
Movie's funny.
Okay. I don't know. I've never seen it, so I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the film premiered June 14th, 1988, Beverly Hills. Was released nationwide June 17th, 1988. It was number 1 at the box office that weekend, bringing in $8.3 million.
That's almost a third of its budget.
What did I say, 29?
29, yeah.
Top 10 of the weekend, opened. Interesting mix. Very interesting mix, actually. Number 2 was Big, which I was surprised to find out
Oh, damn.
that unless it had a big surge, late in its release, it never actually held the number 1 spot during its theatrical run, which I thought was strange.
Really? That is weird.
Because it opened at number 2 against the number 4 movie, which I'll get to. But number 3 was The Great Outdoors starring Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, which I know I've seen, but I can't really remember much about, except that I remember it being fine, and maybe there was a bear in it.
Yep, there is a bear in it.
Okay.
I like that movie.
I don't remember it. Number 4 was Crocodile Dundee 2, which is actually the movie that beat out Big the 2 weeks prior. Yeah. With Paul Hogan quoted as saying, "You call that a movie? Now this is a movie." He didn't actually say that, but I don't know. Sorry. I know I saw the first one, but I'm not sure if I even saw the second one, but who knows?
Isn't the second one Coming to America or something?
That's the one where they go to...
he comes to America in the first one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then what the fuck's this?
The third one's where they go to L.A., right?
Yes, the like 90s one is when they go to L.A. I have no idea.
What is the second one about?
I have no idea.
Maybe they go back to Australia.
I don't know. Like the first one is when he comes to New York, and that's the knife scene. Are you looking up the second one?
Yeah, the first one they go to New York.
Which one is the poster where he's bending the?
That's the first one.
The buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's still in New York.
What's the poster?
He's holding a chick and he's got a big knife in his hand, and it says, the world's favorite adventure is back for more, much more."
I bet you they go back to Australia.
I think that's New York. It looks like New York. Maybe it's not.
I'm sure it starts in New York.
Yeah, that's New York.
Because I think the first one he decides to stay in New York, right? For the lady.
No, it just says the like logline says Australian outback expert protects his New York love from gangsters who followed her down under. Oh wait, so no, they do go back.
Yeah, see, they go back to Australia.
Oh,
there you go.
I'll track them to Australia. All right. Well, let's see what the third one is.
Third one is Hollywood.
Yep, they go to Hollywood.
I've seen that one.
He stabs the robotic snake.
Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. It came out in 2001.
Yeah.
2001, holy shit.
Yeah. And it was
just the bomb
right.
that America needed.
I don't know why they would decide, like, you know what? Let's bring Crocodile Dundee back. Who is pining for that movie? That's such a weird, like, all the old people that watched it are dead at that point.
Yeah, because when did 2 come out? Did 2 come out in the...
1988, so it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, but it's like more than a full decade.
It was like a bunch of 90-year-olds that went to that. I don't know. Although it was the number 1 movie, so...
Yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
Stuff is so weird. I know, like, back then it was definitely all word of mouth.
Yeah.
Obviously. And it's weird that, like... Big, by the way, I was looking because I was going back and forth trying to see if it ever was number 1. It was there for a while, which makes sense. But like, I don't know, just with you see it later with number 1 and number 4. Like it starts off at number 1 because it's a Schwarzenegger movie. I'm assuming Schwarzenegger, and maybe like the fact that it was director of 48 Hours.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's true. Because 48 Hours was huge, right?
Yeah, the 48 Hours. I think the first one would have been his biggest movie, but I don't think it was released worldwide. So it doesn't have a international
box office.
Numbers.
Gotcha.
The second one, which came out in 1990, is his biggest. Walter Hill's biggest. Like it made the most money, but it has both.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And it made about the same amount in the U.S. as the first one did.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Number 5 was titled Big Business, starring Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler as two couples of sisters from New York in the
Yeah.
countryside discover they are connected in an incredible way. And I think they just both play their own twins. Makes sense?
Yeah. I think I've seen that poster.
It looks like somebody fucked up on Photoshop. But number 6 was Bull Durham, which I've still never seen, despite really liking in baseball movies, baseball themed
Okay,
movies.
I can't remember which one's the Kevin Costner baseball movie and which one's the Kevin Costner golf movie.
Tin Cup is the golf movie.
Yeah, Tin Cup. Yeah.
But there's at least 3 Costner baseball
Yes.
movies. There's
Well, I
Field
know
of
what the big
Dreams,
baseball movie is.
Perfect Game.
Yeah, I've seen Field of Dreams, and I've seen his other one where he's pitching for Detroit.
Perfect Game.
Oh, I thought it was Waterworld.
Yeah, he's on the Tigers and he pitches a perfect game and like his
Yeah, I'm pretty
last
sure that's
start 'cause
Waterworld.
No,
The one where he drinks his own pee.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. When he's on the Tigers.
Yeah.
No, Bull Durham is what's his buddy?
Tim Robbins?
Tim Robbins is a pitcher, but he's all crazy, and Costner's like the cool and collected catcher. And then
Isn't Susan Sarandon in that all super hot?
Yep, Susan. I was getting there. Yeah.
Okay.
Susan Sarandon's in there, like all hot. So I don't remember. I don't remember if there's a love triangle or just Tim Robbins is with her or Costner's with her. I don't know, but they're minor league players for the Durham Bulls, I think, which is a real team.
I'm gonna be like, did you see it? And Joe's like, nope.
I saw it fucking forever ago, sometime in the 90s. Yeah, because Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon got married. I don't know if they still
In
are.
the movie or in
No,
real life?
In real life,
Really?
they're married. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Susan Sarandon's one of those like. So I have like my random when you're little crushes. Like it's like Susan Sarandon was one for some reason.
And
And
for
then
some
like
reason, because she was super hot.
Yeah, she's
yes,
still
exactly.
fucking
But it's
hot.
like not like it's
Yeah.
not like normal like because it's not like I grew up in the like I did partially, but like this
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
in the 80s crush. It was like later, and then the lead singer of the Bangles.
You like Susan Sarandon and Stepmom?
Well, I mean, yeah, like I still like her. I'm like, oh, what's up?
That's how
But-
Aaron got into stepmom porn.
Exactly.
They have to be dying of cancer.
So I got to comfort her somehow.
It was very specific. Oh. Anyway, the lead singer of the Bangles. I don't know.
The short one?
Susanna Hoffs. Yeah,
Yeah, she's fucking hot too, man.
she is super.
Like you watch the Walk Like an Egyptian video.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like,
Where she's looking
Jesus
back and
Christ.
forth.
Yeah.
You're like, but it's like a random. You're like, why her? I'm like, I don't know. I like that video. She looks really good in that video. When I was little, I was like, oh, she's so pretty. And
I mean,
like,
mine was Gina Davis, I think, because of A League of Their Own.
okay,
So,
Yep.
yeah.
but never anyone like obvious. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, like at least one obvious.
Kelly
What's her
Preston.
name? Yeah, Kelly Preston.
Oh, was that obvious?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah. And then, the regulars like Kelly Kapowski and all that stuff too. But
Sure.
anyway, sorry. Number 7 was Willow, which is one of the few fantasy movies I actually like.
Sure.
And that movie reminds me of a random time when we were like Joe, when we were all hanging out sometime in those few years, like after high school, before everyone started moving away. One of our friends ends up yelling, "Out of the way, Peck," to our shorter friend. It was the funniest thing ever, just because he's short.
Stupid.
But just that movie has lines that I'm still like, I stole the baby.
That movie made no impression on me. The only reason I know any of the lines, is because you used to say them.
Okay. Well,
The only thing I can think of that movie, and I don't even know if it happens, but if fucking Warwick Davis like falls down a hill and is rolling a lot, I don't know why that's in my head. I don't know if that happens in that movie or it was
maybe
like it's some comedy thing I saw.
The
for
fucking
everyone.
leprechaun.
Yeah,
I think he
leprechaun on the hood.
throw himself down a hill, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe, but just people rolling down hills is funny.
true. Every time I watch The Princess Bride, I forget how long they fall down that hill.
Oh yeah,
It's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
maybe it's just that movie and my wires are getting
Just
crossed.
Imagining it's Warwick Davis.
Yeah, and his green tunic or whatever the fuck he's wearing.
This scene would be a lot better if Warwick Davis was falling down that hill instead of Carrie Elwes. This whole movie would be better if Warwick Davis was playing Red
true.
Tire Robbers instead of Carrie Elwes. Anyway, number 8 was Funny Farm starring Chevy Chase, which I know nothing about.
Yeah, I have no clue.
I know it's a movie. Number 9 was Rambo 3, aka Third Blood. I think the only Rambo movie I haven't seen, which I don't know. And then number 10 was The Presidio, starring Sean Connery and Mark Harmon, and has a strangely worded description on IMDb, like their main logline when you click on the movie. It's a San Francisco civilian police detective is forced to work on a series of murders with his former enemy commanding officer while dating his daughter. It's all one sentence. There's a lot going on in that movie.
Right, cool.
I didn't look up anything past that, but I was like, okay.
Yeah. No, because the Presidio is like the area right before the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's kind of like a park, but it used to be like a military base. It was sort of like old school military housing. So,
Oh, okay.
considering they named it that, I wonder how integral that is. But
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's gotta be a murder going on there. I don't. I didn't look into it.
do you
though,
think he
'cause,
says "Welcome to the Presidio" in there? Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. Welcome to the. I can't do it. Welcome to the Presidio. All right. I can't do a Sean Connery. Anyway, Red Heat only had one. Red Heat only had the 1 week at number 1. It fell to number 4 in the second week, even though there was only one major release that opened that weekend, which was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Which,
that's a big release.
Yes, exactly. Especially like even now, if that came in, I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, this movie looks awesome." On top of being, it's like my two favorite. Like it's got the animation thing, and it's also like a kind of a noir movie. Like hell yeah,
yeah.
But anyway, so it fell behind Big and The Great Outdoors.
That makes sense.
And then it completely fell out of the box office top 10 after a bunch of big movies opened the 4th of July weekend, which were Coming to America, which deservedly took the top spot.
Yeah.
Arthur was number 3. I think Roger Rabbit was number 2. And License to Drive also opened at number 6. And Short Circuit 2 opened at number 7, which I like that movie. Never seen the first one.
You...
Never
I've seen the first one, but I watched the second one about 80 times before I ever saw the first one.
Was the first one actually good? Because I was writing this like a month ago, I was like, oh man, Short Circuit 2, what's that on? And then I watched it. It is.
I think Short Circuit 2 is funnier, but Short Circuit 1 has less Fisher Stevens and brownface. So
Okay.
It's got that going for it.
Okay.
And Ali Sheedy, she's charming.
The only thing I know her from is Breakfast Club. So it's like, yeah, she's.
I know her from that in Short Circuit.
She's not really charming in that. She doesn't really talk in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Short Circuit, the first one, I hear it's really good, and I heard the second one's really bad. But the second one is
I would not say the first one's really good.
Sorry, not really good. The first one's fine.
Yeah.
The second one is not good. But
that's what I always hear, but like...
It's got Michael McKean in it.
Yeah. It just feels so much sillier. It's also way like tropier and like, I don't know.
So...
But it feels sillier.
If you watch the first one, you're like, what the fuck is that? Why is he not?
Yeah, why isn't he a gangster in this one?
Yeah, it's like that Los Locos scene. Los Locos kick your ass. Los Locos kick your face. Los Locos kick your balls into outer space. I used to say that and get in trouble for saying that. When I was like, I don't know, 6 apparently. But it's not silly, right? So it's like, isn't he like bad in the first one?
No. The first one's still silly. It's just not as silly. It's not like...
Okay.
The whole thing is like the military's trying to get him back. So there's a little more like real plot. Yeah, like there's a little more real plot to the first one. Okay. Gutenberg and Fisher Stevens are trying to get him back.
Oh, he escapes.
Yeah, he gets struck by lightning, and that's how he comes alive, and then he escapes.
Okay. See, I couldn't. It was just like, this is stupid.
I know. I say it's not as silly, but yeah.
I've seen these movies, but it's been like 30 years. And, that's probably something that happens when you watch as a kid. You're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, why wouldn't I bring a robot alive?
Lightning can do literally anything. Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
Not even alive, because it was already kind of alive. Sentient, though. Like,
sentient. It gave him a soul. When I was 8 years old, I believed I was going to build a robot, so I could believe fucking anything. Anyway.
Okay, so, okay, and then the last one, Phantasm 2, which I've never seen any of the Phantasms, was at number 9, which also helped push Red Heat down to number 11. So Red Heat ended up with a total worldwide gross of $34.99 million. which isn't great on a $29 million budget.
No, it is not.
And I'm pretty sure that doesn't include marketing. So definitely not great, which is weird. Again, with what Walter Hill said and what the movie is, I do not get how they didn't. Although I guess because it worked with 48 Hours, the marketing, because I'm assuming they marketed that as a comedy.
Yeah.
And what I've seen from their, because I have the promo stuff, what I've seen from their marketing, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Which again, which is stupid. I just realized. I'm like, of course they did that again because that worked the first time.
Yeah.
So
True.
Schwarzenegger said in his book, Red Heat was a success, grossing $35 million in the States. Which, okay. But it wasn't the smash I expected, which is why it's hard to guess. It could be that the audiences were not ready for Russia, or that Maya and Jim Belushi's performances were not funny enough, or that the director didn't do a good enough job. For whatever reason, it just didn't quite close the deal. Which, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Maybe a combination of all those things.
Yeah, someone say we got a raw deal.
So yeah, that's all for the production stuff. You guys ready to get into the promo clips material, whatever it is?
Not really, but what choice do I have?
So like I said, I actually found enough to keep all these clips around the time frame that the movie was released, which was surprising and I was digging. But anyway, so these first ones are actually a couple of TV ads, and they're a little different than the usual ads you'd see for on TV. But yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
I'm Ivan Danko, Moscow Special Police. I'm here to track down dangerous Soviet criminal. A Chicago police officer is helping me.
A Chicago cop never relinquishes his weapon. Here.
Now I know why we invented vodka.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Belushi, Red Heat.
Yeah. Then the other one, this next one is just the Belushi side of it.
Okay.
This Russian cop's trying to clean up Chicago overnight.
Hey, you got a haircut.
No way. I take care of this. It's gonna take him at least a week.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Belushi, Red Heat.
I don't know. I thought those were cool just because they're
those are fine.
Yeah.
specific for TV. It looks like.
Yeah, they're also just a weird way to do it. Like the way they're talking to camera and stuff. It's almost like a PSA or something.
Yeah.
Like they're going to tell you not to do drugs at the end.
Yeah, and for those listening at home, basically the part where they're Arnold talking and James Belushi is talking, they're just talking straight to the camera.
Yeah.
Telling us something and then show a little clip of the movie, and that's pretty much it. So
yeah.
very strange.
Different. I think a little more memorable. I was like, oh, cool. I was actually going to post one of those tomorrow. By the way, we're still getting comments from a post from a few weeks ago that I guess that's viral. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
mildly viral.
Yeah, I looked at it before we started and it had 2.4 million views and 69,000 likes, which 69. All right.
Nice.
Which is cool and irritating at the same time because I still have the notifications turned on.
Yeah, me too.
But anytime I'm debating on turning them off, someone comments something like, I'm not a pervert, or he got two, or there's a see you at the party Victor, because I guess maybe they think Michael Ironside's character's name is Victor Richter.
I feel like I've seen that 3 times.
The Victor one?
The Victor one.
Yeah, everybody's just commenting pretty much with their favorite Arnold one-liners with the good amount from what I'm assuming are left-leaning Democrats, because they're claiming that their favorite line is when he said, screw your freedom during COVID. So
yeah,
I thought it was kind of weird just because it's not a one-liner, but I just figured they must be coming from a bunch of liberal people, right?
Exactly. I have no choice but to believe that those are coming from a bunch of progressive
Exactly.
leftists.
But I still think it's either way, it's still pretty great out. I wasn't in the best mood when I was working earlier, and then I get a notification that was written phonetically, or this was a while. It was Dana, jump down, Daddy will catch you, and it seriously tripped me up.
I saw a phonetic one today that was consider that a divorce.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Okay, so this next one is an interview Arnold did with good old Bobby Wygant. And they start off by discussing the timeliness of the film. So let's check that out. And yeah, it's...
Arnold, it's a shame that you people can't find something timely.
I know.
My
Is that
heavens.
timely or what, huh?
Did you consult your astrologer before you started this film?
I don't have an astrologer, but I have to give Walter Hill the credit for that. I mean, when he called me a year ago and he told me, basically I've been bugging Walter Hill for 10 years to do a film with me because I love him as a director. I mean, he's just terrific. And I loved all his films that he has done. And so a year ago he called me and he says, well, Arnold, you know, you've been bugging me about doing a movie and directing you. He says, I have a great idea. So I said, what? He says, come to my office. So I went to his office and he tells me this idea about me playing the toughest Russian cop, the Dirty Harry of Moscow, basically, to come to America, to Chicago, and to wipe out the drug ring between the United States and the Soviet Union, and being hooked up with a character like Jim Belushi, who plays the worst cop of Chicago, and all this stuff. And I just loved the idea. So we went after it, we developed it, and all of a sudden as we started to shoot this film, we started hearing about summits and about the East and West getting together. And Walter and I, we looked at each other and said, this is perfect. The timing, without even really, we didn't mean to make it that perfect, but it's a coincidence, you know? And so some movies you do, the timing is totally off. And some movies you do where the timing is right, and this is right.
Fabulous. Do you think that Glasnost is here to stay?
Pause it or stop it or whatever. First off, he mentions, I just thought of this right now, the time. So he's like, sometimes the timing is perfect, other times it's completely off. This was perfect. Conan, not so perfect. You know?
Collateral Damage, not perfect at all.
She mentioned Glasnost. I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, because like I think it's the agreement that they were starting to come to. Maybe I don't know, but
I gotcha.
Like the Soviet. USSR. Was it still the U? See, again, like this clip made me curious if there's some alternate universe where like a smarter version of me spent the first part of this episode discussing the ways in which like Red Heat paralleled real world politics at the time, instead of just being like all like dumb guy Fredo about it. Like, I'm smart. I noticed this movie's like another movie. I'm smart. Fucking stupid. Like, I was like, Glass now? I don't even know what that is. It's probably something politically.
Probably.
But to answer your question, the USSR would like, that was the Soviet Union. And so when they disbanded around this time, they were no longer the USSR. So that wasn't just Russia. That was like, you know, the Soviet bloc or whatever.
See, again, I don't even know what that, like, I know it's part of Russia and I'm unsure the countries around it, part of it. I don't know. But part of me wonders if a better movie would have been able to cash in on like the timeliness of its release. Maybe.
Yeah, because that's what I was about to say is like, I wouldn't feel too bad about not doing research into how like the political climate was around this time, because this movie says nothing about like U.S. and Russian relations. Like, it's so like superficial. It has, I don't know, it doesn't really say anything. It just happens to be about a Russian and an American working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I can probably see how maybe the topicality or whatever of the film might have actually hurt it, because if Rocky IV taught me anything, it's that most Americans at the time didn't exactly view Russia like in the best light. So I could see how a movie that's portraying a Russian as the hero might have maybe been a harder sell. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Well, anyway, this moving on. So this next clip is an interview with Jim Belushi that he did with John Tibbets. John Tibbets asks him about working alongside the Chicago Police Department to prepare for the role, and Jim Belushi's answer is interesting.
Now, be honest about this. Did you see more of the 18th Precinct researching the film than you had seen of it prior to this picture?
Oh, it was nice being on the other side. It was nice being able to walk in and out of those tanks, you know?
You did spend time there, though, right? I mean, researching.
Research. I did 2 weeks with the tactical force at 18th Precinct.
Mm-hmm.
And, 2 weeks running with these guys.
What do you learn about Chicago's finest?
Attitude. You learn the attitude of what it takes to be a police officer. You grow with great compassion and respect for these men who walk the line between civilians and crime. And they kind of have the same feeling toward the criminals as they do for the civilians, because they don't feel that they get the respect from the civilians that they deserve. because these guys are an isolated core. And what's great about Red Heat is it's the same thing in Moscow. And that's the one thing that Arnold and I connect with in Red Heat, is that we are both here in an honorable profession and no one understands what we're doing.
Okay. So did I just read that wrong? Because to me it sounded like he's saying the cops have the same feelings towards the criminals that they do for civilians and don't feel like they get the respect they deserve and no one understands them. Like his description of the Chicago PD pretty much sounds the same, like the same thing you'd say to a friend when you're trying to sell them on watching Breaking Bad. Because that's some Walter White ass shit that he just described the cops as.
What do you mean?
Like, just like feeling, again, like I'm probably reading it wrong, but like looking at the criminals, the civilians the same way that they look at the criminals. Is that what he was saying?
Oh, no. You got that part right. I just didn't get the Breaking Bad connection because I've seen like 4 episodes.
Oh, because Walter White's basically the same thing, and like he doesn't get the respect he deserves, and like no one understands him. It's like,
no, I don't think that's wrong at all. I think he said it without like he said it and it's true, and then he goes and like defends him and says, yeah, it's because it's an honorable profession and they put their lives on the line or whatever. Without realizing that he also said that they're whiny pissants who don't do treat you like shit as soon as they feel like you're not giving them fucking authority.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was just strange. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he realized he was saying a bad thing.
Yeah, I know.
is the point.
I know.
Or maybe he was completely intentional.
Maybe it was
because he's supposed to be like the bad cop, but maybe he's like, yeah, this is how all fucking Chicago cops are. They're douchebags. So I don't know.
So anyway, we'll stick with Belushi for a minute just to bring it back up to positive. But yeah, so this next one is him promoting the movie on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and he mentions a story involving Arnold that's one of his like main stories for pretty much any interview he did for the film, and then he segues into not being able to talking about not being able to go to Russia when the crew went there to shoot. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm telling you.
You mentioned during the break there when you were watching yourself, you said you were a little heavier than that.
Well, yeah, I showed up on the set in great shape, and Arnold did not like that.
Oh, get out of here.
No, he did not like that. He said, Jim, you're too thin to be a cop. And so Arnold would bring ice cream and cookies and say, Jim, look at this cookie.
It will pump you up.
It will pump you up. It pumped me up, Johnny. I've gained about 10 pounds in that movie, and so...
I hope it's a big hit for you.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Did you do any of the shooting in Russia? I know he was over there for about a week.
No, I
guess
didn't
you
get
would.
to
I
do
guess
that,
you wouldn't
Johnny.
normally because it.
I tried to talk him into it,
Yeah.
I tried to say, I think Arnold should have this dream sequence.
Before you can go to Russia.
Before, yeah, so I can go to Russia. I go, no, Jim, maybe in a sequel, Jim, but not this one.
What's coming up for you after this now?
Okay. Anyway, I don't have any comments for that. That's a story that he tells. He pretty much just he doesn't go into as much depth in that one because Johnny Carson kind of interrupts him. But just talking about how Arnold tried to plump him up and kept feeding him making him like pressuring him into eating like sweets and whatnot. And then Jim Belushi and the other one that I listened to that wasn't as interesting was like, I figured I'd be fine because Arnold's not gaining any weight. He's like, but Arnold's also working out like 2 hours a day. So, it didn't work out exactly the same as far as our body weight.
Yeah. He's like, pick that cookie up.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, speaking of Russia, let's see some behind the scenes footage of Arnold in Russia, followed by my favorite thing that I actually ended up finding.
In the spirit of Glasnost, the Soviet government allowed the filmmakers to shoot in Red Square. Schwarzenegger attracted a massive crowd, fans who knew him through black market videos.
There was a tremendous amount of excitement in Moscow, not only amongst the press, but amongst the youth. It was wild, as a matter of fact, to arrive there and to have hundreds of kids try to talk to us and communicate with us and hunt us down for autographs and so on. And I had no idea that we had this kind of popularity there.
When the case brings him to Chicago, he faces a rude cultural awakening at the hands of Art Ridzik.
I mean, basically, he makes fun of me.
Yeah.
All the way through the film.
All the way through the film. And it's great when there's a language, a cultural barrier. They have no idea that you're making fun of them. Yeah, you're going to fit right in.
Oh, right here. Okay, that's good. I just want to hear the song. Man, that song though, was that in the movie? Was that from the movie?
Song.
Because
I don't think so.
Okay, because that song rocks. I like the record scratch noise. Like,
Yeah.
when I heard that, I was like, "Holy shit! This is the only thing that I'm going to get out of this whole like what is it? 18-minute
18 and a half
featurette?
minute.
Just the song. Anyway, two more. Okay, this next one is an interview with Edo Ross, who plays Victor. What's his last name? Rasta or something? Rosta, the main villain. And it's him talking about getting the role and how he figured out how the character should sound. And I think this is from a featurette from the DVD release of the movie, but I'm not sure because like this whole long YouTube video is a bunch of clips from different featurettes and none of them are like cited or...
Got it.
Anyway, go ahead.
It was a Russian drug dealer named Victor Rosta. That was like my first big shot. What I first did was I tried to make sense out of this thing and find out where this guy was coming from. Because I was playing a Georgian, I wanted to find out about, who was Georgian, and strangely enough, Stalin was Georgian. I had really saw a lot of film and a lot of his mannerisms and how he looked and how he acted. Here's a guy who comes from Russia. He has to go probably through arid, dry Afghanistan and all these other kind of countries to get to the United States. The guy's voice is not going to be like, "Hi, how are you?" He's going to be tired, so it's going to be that, "Hello, are you kind of horsey kind of guy?"
What do you say?
It's kind of funny because when you look at the film, I have a Russian accent and Arnold has a German accent.
Go and kiss your mothers behind.
When I got the job, they said, "Okay, you got to go to Chicago." I said, "All right, fine." What I did was I grew like a 4 or 5 day growth of beard. Somebody had said that there was a drug thing coming in from L.A. to Chicago. So I get into Chicago and I land and I see these two guys by the elevator. And they put me up against the wall, and they start frisking me, and they identify themselves as Chicago police. I said, the production people were going to send somebody for me. All of a sudden, the guy comes. I said, "Tell these guys who I am." Without missing a beat, this guy goes, "I've never seen this man in my life," and he was gone. Foolish. At least I knew I had the character halfway working right,
Okay. So when I watched that the first time, I had to rewatch it because I wasn't completely paying attention, and I was like, I don't think I completely understand the story. So the guy the studio sent to pick him up said he didn't know who he was.
Yeah, I think the idea is. I don't know why the police would stop him as soon as he got off the plane, but that's what they said.
I feel like that might have been edited badly.
Yeah, maybe.
Like it's probably a longer story.
Yeah. So my guess is, one of the production guys was just playing a prank and said, "I don't know who this person is." I don't know.
Okay.
Or they thought he was a drug dealer and the production guy didn't want to get mixed in.
Oh, so, yeah. That makes more sense.
Oh, is that why you put in the comment about the beard? Is that he looked like, so that you would know he looked like a drug dealer? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think he said there was
a
talk of a shipment coming in from Chicago to LA and they frisked him. I don't know.
Anyway, that's him. And that's one of, when I found that, I was like, oh, yeah, don't think I've ever heard him. I think maybe once on, like I said, on Seinfeld, but otherwise I've never heard him talk without doing a Russian accent. Anyway, this last one is a clip that I found when we did the Running Man, and I saved it because it's just precious. Award Show Network is the name of the YouTube channel, and it's a segment from a 1987 show or special or something. It's called Superstars and Their Moms. And it's Arnold and his mom hanging out, and we're going to catch them as Arnold is getting his mom's opinion on which Red Heat poster she likes best.
Cool.
Okay, this is why I like you to give me your opinion.
Oh my gosh.
What?
What do you have?
This is a gun.
I don't like.
You don't like guns?
No.
So this with the gun is no good.
It's no
Out.
good, no. It's out, yeah.
Good. I hope you like one of the photographs because we only have 2 left.
No.
Okay, how about this one?
No.
This is now with both of us together.
No, I don't like this.
Why not?
Why don't you smile?
Smile?
Yeah, sure.
You ask difficult questions. Okay, let's try the next one.
No, this is good. That's good. Do you
Why is this-
smile?
I smile?
Yeah, sure.
Of course I'm smiling. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's good.
He's not smiling at all.
Okay, and now we're gonna go and see the movie.
Where are you?
Oh, I'm not in this scene.
Where are you?
No, they're not in this scene. These are just Russian soldiers.
Where are you?
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm enough in this movie. I'm all the way through because I'm starring.
I love it.
You love it? All right, I like that. Okay, then let's celebrate.
Thumbs up.
No one could have a better mother than I have. And I think when I think about my success and everything that I've learned in my life, I think it is too because of what she has taught me about love and dedication and taking sacrifices and morals and all those kind of things. So I cannot imagine being without her. So I really have to say, dass ich dich sehr gern habe. I love you very much and thank you for everything that you've done. A good mom. Thumbs up.
I like that after school special music they play at the end.
Anyway, that's it.
All right, that's going to do it for our production and promotion episode. So we will see you next time when we're going to go through the summary of the movie. As always,
bye.
We love you.
See you at the party, Richter.
If you enjoy our show, please consider giving us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Potty Richter to make sure you never miss an episode. See You at the Potty Richter is a production of Tape Deck Media. Follow Tape Deck on Instagram at tapedeck_media or look us up on Facebook for more hilarious podcasts.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.